the story, everyone? Welcome back to GA Fan TV. Dublin 5-21, Louth 15 points. This is the instant match reaction after Dublin win a 13th Leinster senior football title in a row. Dublin once again are Leinster champions. It might be a little bit confusing for anyone who's watching this live. I am doing the a live watch along for the Armagh Derry game as well at the moment. So I didn't even know it was possible to have two videos live on the channel at one time. So it might be a bit confusing there, but apologies for that. I was at the game. So that's why, just a little bit later than usual doing the reaction here. But yeah, look, it was a very, very dominant win for Dublin. It needed to be a dominant win, especially after what was such a lackluster performance in terms of the game. In terms of the Dublin-Kildare game, obviously Dublin were very slow out of blocks in that game. They struggled to get past Kildare. They struggled to create chances or just show any sort of remnants of the Dublin that we all know and love, I suppose, if you're a Dublin fan. But this game was, it was the opening 10 minutes was a little strange. Again, there were a lot of signs of Dublin being a little bit lazy with the ball. We were struggling a little bit. I don't think we scored until like the 10th minute or something of that nature. Louth had definitely started a little bit stronger. Like Dublin didn't score until Cormac Costello's point, and Louth actually led up until about the 11th or 12th minute, and Dublin seemed maybe a little bit lacking of confidence a little bit, but once we got going, we were far too strong. And I think something that was evident really was the fact that Louth, the goalkeeper, like they were struggling with their kickouts, massively struggling with their kickouts. I think Dublin must have turned Louth over for about 6, 7, maybe 8 kickouts in a row, and they just went on a huge scoring spree really from about the 13th minute right up until the 22nd minute. I think they scored 1-4, 1-5 without reply, and like once Dublin took such a huge lead in front of Louth, it was very tough for Louth, because then you're asking Louth to play a little bit different to how they play usually, which is, they're usually a side that get a lot of men behind the ball, try and hit on the counter attack. Now Louth were the side that needed to play football and come after Dublin, and what that was doing was they were leaving holes in behind, and they were playing a specific type of way that we don't usually see them play. And that's why it was just very comfortable for Dublin. And fair play, like Dublin, we took the game to Louth. We went after them. We went for goal chances. We took our points when the opportunities came. And you've seen, like, once Dublin started kicking, once Dublin had that spree of scoring about 1-3, 1-4, as I said, between in and around the 13th minute up until the 30th minute or give or take around that mark, you're just seeing the confidence come back for Dublin. It was almost like we remembered that we're a good footballing team, that we have great players. You've seen Jack McCaffrey scoring points. Con O'Callaghan was doing what he usually does. Paul Mannion obviously gets himself a goal, obviously in the 22nd minute. Cormac Costello, Sean Bugler, I thought, had a very, very good game. I mean, Sean Bugler was a player in 2020, I remember, during the COVID year, where he looked very, very lively, looked like a very good footballer. And we just haven't seen enough of him in the last couple of years, whether that's injuries or something else. But he was very, very impressive, and he played really, really good stuff. And like, there was a moment, I think, where I seen Samuel Roy miss a free about 15, 16 meters in front of the hill, puts it wide, and you're thinking, like, this is just not going to be Louth's day, unfortunately. Like, Dublin are just far too strong, and it did look like to be fair to Louth, they didn't miss a huge amount of chances, but it was just very tough for them to compete with Dublin. The kickouts, like, it was just very tough. There was moments where they were kicking it short and it was still inside the square, or inside the box, so the ref would call a foul. They were struggling. They were really, really struggling to keep possession of the ball or make anything happen. And you have to give Dublin huge credit for that. Stephen Cluxton, brilliant on his own kickouts. Some of his kickouts were absolutely brilliant. Brian Fenton, I thought, had a tremendous game. James McCarthy was absolutely brilliant. Jack McCaffrey, although he did go off, maybe with a bit of an injury, looked very impressive as well. And all of Dublin's forwards, I mean, Costello scored 5 points. Con O'Callaghan scored 4 points. Paul Mannion with 1-1. Kieran Kilkenny with 3. Sean Bugler with 1-3 as well. And even, something different about Dublin this year to last year, our bench. Our bench is very strong. Colm Basquel getting a goal coming off the bench. Paddy Small getting a goal. Dean Rock, obviously, more of an impact substitute now. Not a bad player. Not a bad player to be bringing on. And yeah, even in the second half, we didn't let up. We kept pushing towards Louth. There maybe was a worry when we went 10, 15 points up. You're thinking, could Dublin get a little bit lackadaisical in the second half, which we have done at times this year? But there was no sense of that. We kept on Louth's throat, kept going for the jugular, and it was absolutely brilliant to see. Look, from a Louth perspective, obviously, it's a tough one for them. I think to get to a Leinster final is a huge achievement. They're first since 2010. Definitely from being at the game, and I did do a match day vlog as well at the game, so that'll be out hopefully in the next couple of days. But for those of you who do watch that, you'll see that they definitely, I would say that the attendance, I think, in Croke Park was 40,000. I would say there was probably about 20, 25,000 Louth supporters. Like, outside of Hill 16, it just looked all Louth. There was red flags. There was a huge amount of Louth fans who travelled down. When I was going to the game, walking through East Wall, I think I must have seen about 15 to 20 coaches. I took a video of it. Absolutely mental. Like, so much Louth fans travel down from the likes of Drogheda, RD, Dundalk, all these places, and it's brilliant. Fair play. It's great to see Louth have their day in Croke Park, and obviously, in the end, a 21-point victory, probably not a great look for the Leinster Championship or for Gaelic football. It's another provincial final that was heavily one-sided, but I think at the same time, like, Louth should be very proud of the year that they've had. They'll go into that group stages. I can't remember who's in their group, to be honest with you. But look, they'll go into that hoping, play if they can continue the same standards that they've set over the last couple of years. I think they're more than capable of possibly pushing Dublin again next year. But things probably just didn't go quite their way. They struggled hugely with the kick out. I don't think they were wasteful in front of goal. I don't think they necessarily played poorly or anything of that nature. I think Dublin were just really on it today. And in fairness, there probably is a bit of a gap between the two. Does this mean Dublin are back? Does this mean that Dublin now are serious All-Ireland contenders? I mean, it's hard to say, really. Like, based on this performance, like, you don't want to get too carried away with one win over Louth, in fairness. And I think the Roscommon game next will certainly give us more of a judgment as to where Dublin are at. Would still be worried with the likes of Kerry, Mayo, these teams. I still think they're better than Dublin right now, in my opinion. But the players are there, the talent is there, and the options are there. And defensively, we definitely have improved. 2 games now in a row where we haven't conceded a goal. And in fairness, Louth did have the ball in the back of the net at one stage, and I actually have no idea why it was disallowed. It was a bit of a bizarre decision. It was towards the end of the game anyway, so it wouldn't have mattered. I think the ref didn't play advantage. He called it back for a foul. Really, really annoys me that. Like that, why not give the goal there? I don't know what happened, but was disappointed not to see that. But yeah, great result for Dublin. I think man of the match, Sean Bugler, absolutely top class performance from him. 1-3, and onwards and upwards for Dublin. Run through some comments here. Rory says, "What a statement!" Yeah, it was definitely a statement win, but again, what level are Louth at? It's hard to really know, like, what level Louth are actually at, in fairness. Dubs are back, I'd say, says Hans. On far says, mixed emotions for me. In stages, we looked absolutely electric, almost enough to calm my fears for the rest of the season. But we've been here before. There's enough to compete, but no Sam. Yeah, it definitely was a great performance at times. There were some sluggish moments, and the start of the first half was quite poor. The end of the first half got a little bit poor. But all in all, it was very good. But again, what level are Louth at? I don't know. Like, are Louth going to be competing for an All-Ireland? I don't think so. Like, I think in fairness, I do think, although Kildare had a very poor Division 2 campaign, Kildare were a Division 1 side last year. I think Kildare are of a higher standard than Louth, in my opinion. I know Louth have had a brilliant year, but I do think Kildare are the better side. They've just had a very disappointing year and probably things aren't going well there. So it's hard to know. Mikey says Dublin are a top 3 team. The possibility is definitely there. You'd put Kerry in that bracket, Galway, Mayo. I think the winner of the Ulster Championship, although a lot of uncertainty around Derry at the minute, and obviously it's half time in that game. We'll see what happens, but there we go. What do you think? Who do you think are All-Ireland contenders? Well, yeah, Kerry, Mayo, Galway are definitely the 3 front runners. I think Galway are the front runners right now. Kerry and Mayo have to be in that bracket, and I think Dublin are in the conversation as well. Like I'd be heavily disappointed if Dublin didn't get to an All-Ireland semi-final, provided we didn't play Kerry, Mayo, or Galway in a quarter-final. I think Tyrone is definitely a difficult one. I think they're a side that when they get going, they have the potential to be a very good team. And you know, I think Armagh, Derry are definitely good sides as well. But I would fancy Dublin against them. But we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, your opinions in the comments down below. Obviously, huge win for Dublin, and they march on into the group stages. And for Louth, tough one to take. Obviously, it's a huge defeat, and it probably looks worse than what it is. But they could take a lot of positives from their year so far. It's probably not the type of result you want going into the group stages. But I think Louth should be proud of how well they've conducted themselves this year. And I think with Mickey Hart at the helm, you know, days out in the Leinster final again are definitely possible. And possibly even getting out of the group stages, I think, is very achievable as well. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on the game. Let me know who you thought was man of the match for me. I think Sean Bugler was brilliant. And yeah, we'll be going back to obviously doing a live watch along at the minute for the Armagh Derry game. So we'll be headed back there in just a couple of minutes' time. So yeah, make sure to get yourself over there. Like, subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll speak to you all soon.